Okay, so in this video I'm going to tell you how you can create API server using nodejs. So I'm going to tell you very simple steps that you need to follow to create the API server. So first of all, you need to define the models, like what kind of data you want to store. For example, customer data, orders data, products data, something like that. So we need to define first of all that data models, or we can call it tables, the properties of the tables. For example, we can have a customer table or a customer schema where there will be customer ID, customer phone number, address, so on and so forth. So first of all, define that one, and this is how the schema looks like. You will need to require this mongoose module, and then you can create a new schema like that. So in the schema, what we define is what are the properties of that particular object or the data model, and whether the particular attribute is required or not. So if the server gets the request and it doesn't have this particular first name, then it will throw error saying that this is a mandatory field and you need to pass it, and data will not be saved in that case. And similarly, you can store different types of data in this schema. For example, last name is a string, then phone number is a string, address is a string. Then you can also store the arrays as well, like that. So similarly, you can define other data models as well. Once the models are defined, what you need to do is you need to create the routes. So routes are basically the endpoints, we can call it. For example, if you want to interact with the customer model, you can create the routes saying that /customers. It will return all the list of customers. And if you want to create new customer, you can have another endpoint called as /customer, and it will be a post endpoint where people can send the request with the body, which will have all the customer information that needs to be created or saved. So the routes, you can put it in routes directory, and you can see here in the customer routes we have got one get route, so which maps to the HTTP GET request, and this is the endpoint /customer. So whenever somebody hits this customer's endpoint using the GET request, what happens is controllers are called. So customers actions.customer, this is actually a method from this particular file. So once customer's endpoint is hit, this particular method will be called. Then if the post request is sent using this endpoint /customer, then create customer, this function will be called. So let us see the next thing, that is controllers. So we have seen models, we have seen routes. Now let us see the controller. So controller is the place where the magic happens, like data is stored, data is retrieved, and all that stuff. That is where the connection to the database is made. So let us see what is in the controller. So customer control. So we have got two endpoints. One is to return the customer list and another is to create the customer. So this function is basically returning the list of all the customers. So what's happening here is we are calling this find method on the customer model, and you can see the customer refers to the customer model. So here what's happening is the connection is being made to the mongodb, and it is actually working with that customer model or customer collection, we can call it. And this find method will actually find the list of all the customers that match this condition. So this condition is empty right now, and that's why all the customers will be returned. If error occurs, it will send the error, otherwise it will respond with the list of all the customers. Then there is another endpoint to create the customer. So in here what's happening is new customer is being created, a customer object using the request or body. The customer information will be sent in the body, and then we are calling the save method on that customer object. So here actually the database connection is being made, and then data is saved in that mongodb. collection. So that's it. That's how you can create the API server. So another thing that I want to tell you is the main server.js file, where the flow happens like you can see here. There is different models we have required, and then we have registered our models. So this is the basic or important step. First step that you need to do, you will need to register the schemas or the models and also the routes as well. So if you want to access the server from another server, then you will need the CORS enabled as well. That's why we have got CORS. If you want to issue the tokens, you will need JSON web token and then parser model as well. And here we are connecting to the mongodb. Then we are using these middlewares using this use method, and this is where the routes are being registered. So all the routes that we define in this particular file will be registered. So application knows when specific route request is made what to do. So what happens is, let us say customer endpoint is called, so it knows, okay, that customer route is configured here, it will go here and then check what is the request type. It is get request. Okay, there is a get request here and there is a this route defined for that. Then what will happen is that this customer's function will be called. If the request comes and for which there is no route defined, then error will occur. So that's it. That's how you can create the API server using nodejs. Very simple. So watching this video.